Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Bhagishri Tech, and today I'm going to create a one API that is latest one in the .NET Core 9 version, and that will be like very I will say a very important thing, because if you are appearing for the .NET interview, .NET Core interview, then in the machine round they will ask this question like create an API controller and show the data list, show the data, and consume those API data in the any UI site, any Angular or any React component which are created, you have to use it. So that's why I'm just going to create this one as a full stack development, UI side, backend side, and SQL side. But for the database side, I'm just using the in-memory cache. So before starting, I will discuss the like what is the prerequisite for this thing. Coming to the like software side, we have to use the Visual Studio, and UI side if you want to create, you can go with the VS Code. And I will give the category in the first section with the API creation, then in the second section to create the UI side, then consuming and connecting both front end to back end and displaying our data. Okay, so let's start with that. I will create one API controller for the employee. Before that, I have to install some packages. So coming here, come to the manage NuGet package manager, go in the browser section. First I have to install the swashbuckle. Sorry. Then entity framework core. Then next I have to install the in-memory. Okay, so this is the package requirement which we have to be installed. Okay, now this is done. Okay, so I have to be create a controller. Before that, I have to give the model class also. Create one folder for the model one. In the model, I will create my employee model. Second, I have to create a repository folder. Next, I have to create the data folder, a database context. Okay. And in the controller, I have this weather forecast controller. So if I run this solution, I won't be see to like my OpenAPI Swagger, because I have to be registered and use this. Then I can see my API endpoints over the Swagger. So for that, I have to come here and use the Swagger option. See, I have to be register those Swagger here and use this also. So for using purpose, I will go in my development environment and have to be used then. Same thing. App.use Swagger and the UI option. Okay. Now see, this is completed. Let me run this one. So our API seems fine, like it is working properly. So see our weather forecast controller working fine. We can see our endpoints here. Okay, so now I will start to create controller and work on that. For the employee controller, I have to be first create the employee controller. So let's start for that. Okay, so first I have to be create my controller, that is employee controller, restaurant controller, whatever the name you want to give, because in that controller I have to perform in the CRUD operation. So okay, I will create my controller with the employee name. Okay, so my controller is created employee controller with the name inheriting from the controller basis. This is our root actions. In that we can define our controller name as aliases, and after that we have a API controller. And again, if you want to give the authorization part, you can mention here in the square bracket, or you want to use some validation or error exception handling anything, so you can mention here in the again one square bracket. So that's about the API controller root action performance, root action attributes. Okay, now I have to be implement some method for the CRUD operation. Before that, I have to be create one file for the repository data and model also. So I will go in the data, create one class. The class name what I can give as a appdb context. So let me give the name of that. Okay, after that I have to be create my uh, model class also employee model. Once I create properly, then I can run and execute and check it if it is working or not. First, I have to write and set up my code and logic. Okay, so my API DB context file created, employee file created. Okay, let me start for the repository file also, creation of that file. So I have to first create the interfaces for that. I employee repository. Okay, here I have to mention the method name what I am going to be implement. Okay, so that will be get, put, post, delete, all this method with the ID option also. See, so now I have to be implement this repository in my repository class. Okay, so now I have all this method which we have to be implement. Add employee, delete employee, get all async employee, and by ID by then update the employee. Okay, so employee controller, appdb employee, and employee repository class is completed. And in the program.cs file, we already register our Swagger UI. Okay, so now I have first going to my employee model class. I have to create my employee model properly. So in the employee model, I have ID, name, first name, last name, email, phone, position, salary, and I also have to give my validation also in the data model. So that will be also I'm going to be including here. ID, name, I have to give my first name similarly, last name also, then first name, last name, then email also, email message, email, then I have to give my phone also. After phone, my position and salary, employee position, employee salary. Okay, so I have to give the validation also for this, like if first name is compulsory or not, last name is not, or phone is not, or position is right, like mention blank or have to be compulsory fill the value. Okay, I have to missing I think email address. Okay, so I will add this email entity also. Okay, now I have to do the data annotation part. First name is required. Similarly for the last name required, email required. Email required. One validation also we can add here with the email address. We have this one, so we can use that email address as message, invalid email address. Okay, after that phone also, position, and salary. Salary is I'm not giving a very important part because I will add after certain logic. So that's why I will add. Otherwise, it is not mandatory. Or just keeping my data for the future use purpose. If I want to some operation using the salary, I can go with that also. Okay, now come to the AppDB context. Here I have to be create my constructor first. The constructor I have to use this one, and this is inheriting from the DB context ASP.NET Core. In the option, I have to use my AppDB context, and here my options. In the options, I have to inherit from my base option. Okay, this is a extra one. Okay, I have to give my DB set also with the table name. Okay, now it is set. Come to the controller part. First, I will implement the repository class because here my main method is declare, and because of that, I have to this method in my controller classes. So, okay, I will go my repository. Here we see we have first add employee. So, in the add employee, what I have to do? First, I have to use my AppDB context instances. Okay, now I have to use the add employee method or create logic inside that. First, I create my constructor. Okay, this context is created. Now I have to come in my add method. So I have to perform the task with the async operation. So async, then I have to use my await also. After adding, I have to save this. Okay, so this one is completed. Similarly, come for the delete one also. Again, I have to give here async where empid I have to take my okay. So this will be completed. This method. First, I have to check if it is a null. Then what happen? So if my empid if it is a null, then employee not found. give the some better understanding message. So that will be keynote found exception employee not found with ID. It will better go with this. Now I have to be get all method. This will be coming not from the data entity. Okay, for this async ID, if my employee is not null, okay, now I have my update. It seems a little bit okay. So this part is completed. Now come to my the controller section, employee controller. Here I have to be the proper name. Okay, I inheriting because here I have to be taking those method which is I already included or implemented in my employee repositories class. So that's why I taking the instance of that. It is a like I will again say dependency injection with the members, or otherwise I am going with this my constructor part, constructor injection of that. So first method I have async task. So let me. I am not going to action result. I will check my I variable part variable with my employee. So get all employee. Mm, I can apply the for each. I just want to go with the salary some apply the link option, but for the simplicity, I will just go with this option. After if it is completed properly, then I can enhance the performance and adding my business logic inside that with the complexity. Okay. Now my second method will be. 。  . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . . 。 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . get employee ID, get employee by ID method. Yeah, seems wrong. Now I have HTTP post. Now after that I have one more method. If model state is valid, false, not equal to ID, then also bad request. Okay, now after that I have to be update my employee with the returning no content. Sorry, I have to be update. Then similarly for with the post action what we are implemented. So after deleting we have to return the no content. But here also I can validate one thing. Okay. So that's it for this CRUD operation. I think most of the logic I implemented. Let me run it. Okay. So this employee part with the CRUD options completed. Let me come to my program.cs file to configure all the stuff. So yeah, here I have to be use my in-memory database. So I have to be initialize those in memory also in my program.cs file. Next, I have to be start my cost policy. Cost policy we are using for like when our UI will be consuming to which IP address we can use. So that's why by default we are running our Angular application with the 4200, and this is my call policy name, and I have to be use that also after initialization. So I can use my course also. I have not use course. Okay, now I have to use my repository class also. I repository interfaces, like register thing with the scope property. Let me run it again. I'm getting the exception. At what part? Let me see that. So now see, I can test and check like if my all the endpoints is working fine or not. So I will just put the debug for every endpoints by ID, post method also, delete and update put method. Okay, so I will just run from my Swagger UI this endpoints. Okay, just entering. See, this is the data which I given here. So it is working fine, and inserting my data in my in-memory DB. Okay, similarly for the date option also, it is common without passing any ID. So it will be say you have three records, two records, what the value you have to insert. Again, I have get a value by ID, so I will just pass my ID here. I am mentioning here my first ID, second ID. Okay, see my second ID is passed here, and it is not null. Okay, now I have to be delete one ID. I am deleting my third record. So go in this method. Data is deleted. Now I have to be update put endpoints to test. So for second request I want to update. Okay. Updating my name Bhagyashree for the string value. Click. It's working fine. So I can see my all endpoints working fine. So that's it for the API side controller. Employee controller containing all the code operation, and we have to be insert, update, delete. If you want any additional complexity, any additional features in this controller, you can build as per your requirement. Okay. Uh, for the query, I have to be just check one test scenario. Let me check. If I can apply the link to query operation here. If my employee having the position developer, the salary should be 5,000 or manager 10,000 like that. Okay. Employee dot salary 10,000. Let me check if I'm getting the same thing or not. Because by default I have zero salary. Okay. Let me run it again. Okay, so I'm getting my updated amount, that is 10,000 in my output. Okay, similarly I want to update. Are you guys getting or not? Let me again run it. I updated my salary with the 10,000. So the data you are getting, that will be updated. 10,000. Similarly for other two records also. Okay, so I want to check if my position, like let me check the position. What is the position I have? See, I have this three data. In this three data, you see I have email, first name, last name, position. By default, I'm not passing any value, so that's why it is taking a string. I will check if it is a string, then I have to be update as a developer, a manager, a tester like that. And basis on that, I have to be create the salary part also. So I can create the logic for that also here. Let me create it again. First, I have to be create the position. So for the position, I have to be write one method. Okay. So I have multiple roles. First role I will just take in the list developer, tester, manager. Okay, after that I have to my current position. I can return my this position, my current position index I have to be use. Okay. So here basis on the position I have to be apply the position name manager, developer, QA and DevOps. Basis on this role I have to give the salary part also. So for that also I can get one more method. It is not good option. We have to write properly or solid principle to write every method to other classes. But for the demo purpose, I am just trying to complete here. My salary should be decimal, so data type decimal. Get my salary by employee. Better name what I can put. Calculate salary for employee. Now next I have to be pass the switch condition. Basis on that I will get my position. So in the employee, in the switch case, pass the employee position. Okay. So if position is developer, case manager, developer, QA, default we can return the any amount 3000 or 5000. Okay. Okay, so this will be calculated the salary for employee basis on the designation. Now I have to be utilize this method. So what I can do, it's better to write here in here. Sorry, some variable configuration changes. So here I just checking my employee position. If string, I have to update with the different role, manager, tester like that. After that, I have to give the salary section also. So for that purpose, if manager, you have this salary. If you developer, you have this salary. So all the data will be implemented and updated, and I have to be written in my JSON format data. Sorry, just let me check if it is getting or not. See what I have right now. All employee with the position I have string 1, salary 0. Now I have to be update. If my position is string, I have to be updated. Now comes to the salary part. Because first values I assign manager, so that's why it's coming in the manager section. Similarly for other role also. See, I'm getting the every time. My updated value. Sorry, it will be coming duplicate. See. Now So seems it is working fine for the all operation. So I think you got the more of the informative solution and practical experience from this video, from this project. Okay, so now I think it's completed, and if you like this video, if you got any useful information, useful content, please like, share, subscribe the channel. And this is for the backend side I created. Similarly, I am going to create the UI side with the help of Angular latest 17 version, and I will be consuming all this data in my UI part also. So stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Thank you.